Karzai is set to meet with President Obama at the White House. Former chair of the House Foreign Affairs Committee, Florida Congressman Ros Lehtinen joins us now to talk about what to expect from those talks. Thanks very much for joining us. Good to see you.
Thanks for the invitation.
What do you expect to come from those talks?
Well, I hope that not only do they talk about how many forces will stay in country, but also some of the ongoing systemic problems that we have in Afghanistan. Primarily, number one, corruption. That has been an ongoing problem with the Karzai government from day one. Also, the Iranian influence. Karzai could be seen now as the conduit and Afghanistan as the financial center for Iran to use Afghanistan in order to circumvent financial international sanctions. And also, Karzai's attempt to cozy up to the Taliban in his attempt at reconciliation could very well liberate extremist militants that could pose a dangerous threat to our U.S. forces there and our NATO allies. So there are many unanswered questions that I hope go far beyond how many troops are there. Right now we have about 65,000. Will we go down to about 10? Will we go to 20? How long will we stay there? What will be the mission? And mostly what we need to make sure is that what Afghanistan needs is this close air support, because ground troops alone is not going to be able to fight against the Taliban, Al-Qaeda, extremists, all kinds of factions that are trying to take over the country. We can't dishonor the blood and treasure that has been shed in Afghanistan up to now by quickly withdrawing and leaving it less safe.
Congressman, I want to read to you a report that was produced by our great Pentagon producer, Justin Fischel, last Friday. He wrote, quote, "The White House is not considering any option that would leave more than 10,000 American troops in Afghanistan beyond 2014, a senior administration official and a senior military source told Fox News, despite reports that the administration could leave a much larger footprint after that deadline for handing over security to the Afghans." So there you have it. 10,000 is what we're reportedly hearing from the Pentagon.
Well, I worry about these artificial deadlines and artificial numbers that are not dictated by the facts on the ground. We've got to see, as these Afghanistan forces are standing up, we've got to make sure that they're trained and that we cooperate with them with counterinsurgency, that the training and advising continues, and to just pull out a date and say this is the date and pull out a number and say this is the number of troops does not respect the realities on the ground. We made that mistake with Iraq. And I hope that the Obama administration has learned from its mistakes. And when we withdraw our forces along with our allies, we do so in a way that I say treasures all of the lives that have been lost there, and that the Afghan people have the security that they need. Because if not, we will just be emboldening these terrorists, and they will not rest. We may be tired of this war, but the terrorists are not.
Let me ask you to play clairvoyant here and predict what Afghanistan is going to look like after 2014, say 2015 or so.
Well, it worries me that Karzai is our best guy there in Afghanistan, because he has had a lot of ethical problems, a lot of corruption that he has not been willing to stand up to. We need a leader in Afghanistan that understands the difference between right and wrong, and that will really use the country's finances in a way that will stand up the economy so that people can see that there's a future ahead of them that is not involved in killing Americans and killing NATO forces and appeasing extremist elements. So we need a strong leader, one that's able to stand up to extremists. And if Karzai is the best we've got, that worries a lot of us in Washington.
One more question before we go. Karzai is under tremendous pressure, not just from the United States, but from warlords and tribal leaders there, many of whom want to prosecute U.S. forces or NATO forces for collateral damage or what have you. Just an impossible situation for NATO troops there.
Absolutely, and that's one of the key issues that should be discussed. Not just an arbitrary number of troops, and not just an arbitrary date, but what will be the limitations of the immunity that our U.S. forces will have in Afghanistan. Are we putting our guys and gals' lives on the line so that they could not only be at risk of losing their lives protecting Afghans, but at the same time then be prosecuted for war crimes? So the limitations on persecutions, and also under what laws will any of these cases be handled? Those are very sensitive issues that go far beyond an arbitrary number of troops. Our guys should have immunity, and that they should be under U.S. laws and not the laws of Afghanistan.
Congresswoman Ilyana Ros Lehtinen, thank you very much for your time. Good to see you.